Coach, a couple weeks to work. It looks like we talked about last week. Micah's getting closer to returning one, breaking one. Do you think coming off the bye week with fresh legs is the best chance for you guys to return to punt?
We were able to take the open week and work on some different fundamentals and get a little bit of a jump start on Georgia Tech. So I think we're getting close because I think as a unit that punt return unit's playing well. There's a lot of things that go into having success in return units. You got to get the right kick. You got to get everybody blocked. You got to get the return man usually has to make somebody miss somewhere along the line. So, all those ingredients have to be in play. But I do feel like that unit's certainly becoming a weapon for us.
When we spoke to Ryan a couple weeks ago, he talked about he had made the change of his approach before the season, and then now he switched back. Have you seen him kind of regain some comfort and confidence since that move? And is he closer to where he was maybe earlier?
Yeah, Ryan's had a good couple weeks. Obviously the NC State game where he was able to make a kick, I'm sure that was a confidence builder for him. Really the last couple weeks of practice have been very good. But, like we talked about before, his practice work had been very good, really throughout the course of the year. And he's continuing, I think, to become more comfortable, more confident. I thought he had a good week last week. I know he got some work in this past weekend. So, I'm looking for him to have a good second half of the year and kind of refresh and continue to build on what he's been working on and continue to improve.
Switching to the defensive line, there's a chance it sounds like Fabian may come back, but during this span of weeks where he wasn't available, how was he at practices? How was he able to contribute, or in meetings or however, without being able to get on the field?
I'm sure it was hard for him, because I know how badly he wants to be out there. But his attitude from really the week that he got hurt against LSU, and then his attitude and his energy level that he brought to the team meetings, to the defensive line meetings, never changed. His demeanor was never changed. He never made it about him. He never kind of pouted and sulked. And maybe that happened in private. I don't know. But like in front of the group, he always showed a strong leadership face to the group, and he maintained that leadership all the way throughout. There were times that he couldn't really be out at practice immediately after he had the surgery, but he was always in the meetings, and every time he's been out at practice, his presence has been felt. So I thought he did a tremendous job, especially for a guy that had a personal disappointment, obviously, in what he was excited about the year and everything that it would hold. For him to never change his demeanor or his body language or his mindset, I think says a lot about who he is and the type of leadership skills he has.
We got to see Sam McCall get back to kickoff return against Clemson. Was that a matter of him improving, doing things in practice, or running back rotation? Would Trey want to keep him on a rep count?
It was a combination of all things. We have a lot of confidence in Sam. Just like I said when we had made the move initially, it was less to do about Sam and more to do about Trey. With the running back room being a little bit thinner that week, we thought that might be a good opportunity to get Sam back involved in the rotation. But they're both really capable returners, and I think this week going forward we'll make a decision on where it's going to go. But I think we could see either one of those two guys out there.
I remember the Georgia Tech game 2 years ago. I think the first game where there were two blocked field goals, and then I know that's been a problem or similar problems this year for Georgia Tech. I guess has there been a common theme from what you've seen for those mistakes, and how do you look for those mistakes? Is it similar to how you would on offense, defense?
I don't know that you could draw too many parallels from 2020 to now. In terms of why they've had some kicks blocked. It was 3, but but I don't know that you could draw too many parallels. I think a lot of that had to do with COVID and the practice and the lack of full speed work because that was the opening game for both teams. I think that there was a little bit of a reflection of just, I don't know how many full speed reps on field goal protection they had that year. They haven't had those issues in terms of field goal protection this year. The punt blocks, it's hard for me to really speak intelligently on why they've had punts blocked. I'm sure that they've been schemed up correctly, whether there was a guy who didn't execute or miscommunication or whatever the case might be. I'm not 100% sure, but the last couple weeks they've been better in terms of what they've been doing protection wise, and they have good coaches over there, so I'm sure they'll get that part cleaned up.
There were a lot of concerns when Jermaine and Kier left about how you guys would be able to generate a pass rush outside the program. Were you guys as confident that you would be able to? And where you're at right now, how pleased are you guys with the pass rush?
We're pleased. We feel like it's a work in progress. I still think there's a whole nother level that this current defensive line group can take it to in terms of the pass rush. But were there questions coming into last offseason? Sure. But with the emergence of a Pat Payton, that's obviously been significant. Derek McClendon's continued to improve, so that's been good for us. Getting Jared Verse from a recruiting standpoint, that was critical. So, coming out of last season, I could see where there would potentially be concerns. But I think that either through recruiting or through player development, those concerns have been addressed. But I do think that there's a whole nother level that this defensive line can take it to in terms of what we're capable of doing from a pass rush standpoint.
Anything else? Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you.